I waited a long time for this, but it's finally happening, so welcome to my channel. It's a beautiful day outside today, but I'm going to show you how to shoot a cinematic sequence in 10 steps. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and choose a good subject. It could be anything, a wall, a cup, a mug, anything. I'm going to go ahead and choose a cup. But remember, it should be a good subject because your video is going to be based around it. On it. So choose a good subject, and whilst you do that, I'm going to go ahead and make some jar. So the next step is composition. Composition is one of the most important things when it comes to photo and video. You want to make sure that you get a good composition. It's how you create the shot. It's all got to do with framing. Try and frame your subject within the middle of the shot. So centralize it and try and have the focus on your subject. Now once you've found a good composition, now you want to make sure that you found a good location. Where do you want to shoot it? Do you want to shoot it outside? Do you want to shoot it inside? It all depends on what look you're going for, which is the next step. So in the next step, you want to decide what sort of look you want. Do you want to go for a natural look? Do you want to make it look as if you've worked a lot on it and you've made it in a studio, or you've done it in a certain location on purpose? So step 5 is white balance. White balance is quite important because it determines what sort of look you get from your camera. White balance is important if you know how to use it correctly. White balance is normally known as the temperature output. So you could either have a cool looking photo or a video, or a warm looking video and photo. Normally how it works is you can set custom white balance in your camera, and I'll show you how to do it if you don't know how to do it properly. Or you can use the built-in presets into your cameras, which are normally daylight, tungsten, just forgot what I was saying. Moving on. Now I'm going to show you how to set white balance. So the first thing you want to do is turn on your camera, then press the menu button and go and find white balance. For me, it's in the third section of the menu because I'm using Canon 70D. Go into the white balance. In the white balance, you will find AWB, which is auto white balance. I normally use auto white balance because it works the best for me. The second one comes up to be daylight, shade, cloudy, tungsten light, white fluorescent light, flash, custom, and color temperature. The method of setting custom white balance is by getting a white or grey card and then taking it into your lighting situation, for example outdoors or the studio lighting which you'll be shooting in. Then what you do is take a picture of it, and then you go back into your camera menu section and you find custom white balance, which will probably be located under white balance. Then when you press on custom white balance, it should come up with a photo which you've taken, which will probably be the last photo that you've taken, and it will allow you to set custom white balance according to that photo that you've taken. To set custom white balance through color temperature, you go back into your menu and find white balance, and once you go into white balance, find the icon that says K, which stands for Kelvin, because color temperature is measured in kelvins. How this can be set is it allows you to dial in custom white balance by actually dialing it in. So you can dial in a number. For example, currently my one is set to 4000. This will give you something similar to a daylight or tungsten lighting indoors or white fluorescent light. So what you want to do is whatever you see in front of you in your lighting situation, you can adjust it as you see it. Next step is lighting. And lighting, as we all know, is one of the most important things. Otherwise you would just be shooting in the dark and you won't be able to see anything. So you want to find good lighting in your room or in the location that you're shooting, or you could choose to create artificial light and light your subject to create a natural looking feel, or you can even make it look as if you shot in a studio, which I'm gonna do. Step 7 is shutter speed and FPS. Shutter speed is the speed at which your shutter opens and closes. FPS stands for frames per second. Now frames per second is the number of images or frames which your camera can capture within 1 second. The most common and natural look is at 24 frames per second, which is used in films and most programs. However, you still have the option of shooting in higher frame rates. Most common DSLRs can only shoot up to 60 frames per second, which is going into slow motion territory. Now I'll show you 2 examples so you can make a comparison for yourself. Depending on the look you want, I'll go ahead and show you how to set the FPS and shutter speed. A rule you should remember is that you want to double the shutter speed according to the frame rate that you'll be shooting in. If you are going to shoot at 24 frames per second, then remember to double the shutter speed. Step 8 is picture style. Picture style allows you to stylize your shots. For example, you can shoot in a flat profile to get more of a flat look so you can work on it afterwards in color correction or color grading. If you know how to color correct and color grade, then you can go ahead and shoot in a flat profile. But if you don't know how to color grade and color correct, then I'll recommend that you shoot in neutral, because that will give you a more of a neutral look. To set picture style on a Canon camera, go into your menu settings and find picture style. Once you find picture style, you'll see many options, for example auto, portrait mode, landscape, user defined and neutral. Ideally you want to shoot in neutral because standard gives a very overly contrasted and exaggerated look. To create a custom picture style, go into picture style and find user defined. Then bring down the sharpness to 0, bring down the contrast to 0 and bring down the saturation by 2 points. Leave the color tone as it is. I'll show you an example of my footage in a flat profile and then color corrected. Step 9 is motion and movement. By introducing a bit of motion and movement in your shots, you can completely change the feel of your videos. Now the final step is sound. By adding soundtrack or ambient sound, you can really engage with your audience. Once you've followed all of these 10 steps, your video should look something like this.